The question regarding the Waukesha alleged killer, the one who drove his van through all those people during that Christmas parade, the suspect's name is Darrell Brooks. The real question is, why was this man on the streets? Yes, he had a troubled background. Yes, he had a difficult life. Yes, he had issues with his mother and father. But for crying out loud, lots of people have issues with their mothers and fathers. This man should never have been on the streets. Let's go over his life a little bit. This is from the New York Post. Life of crime started when he was 17 years old. He's now 39 years old. Was diagnosed with bipolar disorder and depression while growing up in the inner city of Milwaukee without his father. As you may know, my father grew up without his father. My father never met his biological father. My father had an irresponsible mother who could neither read nor write. She had a series of boyfriends, each one more irresponsible than the one before. My last name, Elder, is a name of a man who was in my dad's life the longest, just a few years. Elder was an alcoholic who was physically abusive to my dad's mom and was physically abusive to my father when he tried to stop the abuse. So his life was similar to the life of Darrell Brooks, except in the case of Darrell Brooks, he had a responsible mother who tried to get him on the straight and narrow. He just didn't listen. My father didn't even have that. My dad came home at the age of 13, got into a quarrel with his mom's then boyfriend. She sided with the boyfriend, threw my father out of the house, never to return. And my dad said he lived in the country in Athens, Georgia, at the beginning of the Great Depression, Jim Crow South. My dad said as he walked away from the house, 13 years old, his mother stood on the porch and said, "You'll be back, either that or you'll be in the cemetery or in the penitentiary. Either that or you're going to come back." My father never came back. I only mention that because Darrell Brooks was admitted to a mental hospital at the age of 12, attempted suicide a number of times after watching his grandmother and his father abuse his mother. He wrote in a letter to the judge in 2007, quote, "I didn't have a father growing up, so my mom was stuck raising me and my older sister." At least he had a mother who was raising him. My dad didn't have that. He wrote in his letter, "My father was an alcoholic who was very abusive to my mom. My father's dad was also an alcoholic. I grew up in the inner city full of drugs and prostitution." By the way, he says that his family was on welfare, and my dad's family was dirt poor. His mom used to just go from place to place and jump rent because they couldn't afford the rent. So my father was destitute, and in the case of Darrell Brooks, at least he had welfare. Brooks eventually became an addict, a habitual domestic abuser, prone to violence and threats, and used a vehicle as a weapon on numerous occasions. In that 2000 letter to the judge, he said, "Do you have any idea what it's like, quote, to have your own flesh and blood walk out on you," referring to his father. But get this, by then, Brooks himself had already abandoned his firstborn child before the child was 3 months old. So here he is writing a letter to a judge complaining about having been abandoned by his father, when at the time he wrote the judge, he had already abandoned his own 3-month-old son. The kid's mother, Brooks's kid's mother, said he disappeared. "I've done all of this on my own, raised my child by myself," referring to Brooks's child. The woman started a paternity case in Waukesha County for failure to pay child support, which, by the way, is still ongoing right now as we speak. Do you hear anything like privacy is guaranteed? Today, I would like to introduce a new privacy and cybersecurity application tool called Secure. Secure is using proprietary encryption and is offering secure instant messaging and email. All communication is based on servers and data centers hosted in Switzerland without using any of the big tech platforms, and also following the strictest Swiss data privacy laws. Constantly, your private information, pictures, chat, email have been stolen, and your data have been mined and sold by big tech. When you use a free product, you are the product. Secure never mines your data and never asks for your phone number. Also, you can easily communicate with both secure user and non-secure users by using the chat by invite and using Secure Send when sending an email to others. Secure's technology allows you to communicate privately without fear of spying from your internet provider. It costs only $5 for the messenger and only $10 for the email and messenger package. Go to secure.com and take back your privacy today. Use promo code Larry for 25% off. So let's get back to Brooks's record. A year after Brooks was charged with his first felony in 1999 at age 17, for substantial battery intending bodily harm, he was given 3 years probation. But he broke the law again, hit with misdemeanor charges in 2002 and 2003 over separate incidents. Fast forward 2005, he moves to Reno, Nevada for a fresh start. Within 1 year, he was charged with statutory sexual seduction and contributing to the delinquency of a minor after he raped and impregnated a teenage girl whom he claimed told him she was 18 at the time. He settled the case by pleading guilty, but was ordered not to contact the victim. But he repeatedly violated that order by calling the teen using a stolen phone card and confronting her at a bus stop, landing him back in jail where he served a whopping 129 days, according to records. As a result of that conviction, Brooks was forced to register as a sex offender in the state, and during his time in bars, he participated in a documentary called Crystal Darkness. Now let's fast forward. Between 2009 and 2011, Brooks was in and out of jail for a series of crimes, including but not limited to resisting or obstructing an officer, strangulation, and suffocation. During a 2011 bus, was charged with restricting or obstructing an officer for a second time after he was pulled over for not wearing a seatbelt. Now get this. According to the Milwaukee Sentinel-Journal, here's what the cop said. During a traffic stop, I jumped inside Brooks's car, fearing he was about ready to run me over. As Brooks drove away, officer got inside the car and wrestled control of the steering wheel. Eventually, the car stopped. Cop removed the keys as Brooks ran off. Brooks was later found hiding in a children's playhouse on the same block, was taken into custody. Fast forward 2016, Brooks busted again for failing to register as a sex offender, and fast forward July 2020, he fired a gun at his nephew during a fight over his cell phone. The nephew told the cops he got into a friend's car following the dispute and was driving away when Brooks, his uncle, quote, walked into the front yard with a gun and fired one shot at them, leaving them in fear of their safety, of course. Officers found Brooks with a stolen Beretta 9mm handgun and a clear plastic baggie with 3 multicolored methamphetamine pills inside. He was charged with 2 counts of second-degree recklessly endangering safety and use of a dangerous weapon, and was ordered to stay away from his nephew and his mother. Brooks was facing 10 years behind bars for the crime, the heaviest sentence he faced so far. But when the court was unable to guarantee him a speedy trial due to a backlog of cases and COVID-19 related delays, he was released in February 2021 on a $500 bail, I kid you not. From there, Brooks goes to Georgia, where he was arrested for misdemeanor battery with a designation of family violence a little over 3 months after he got out of jail. Following his troubles in Georgia, he goes back to Wisconsin. Violence again. Brooks accosting a woman, knocking her cell phone out of her hand, and then went after her in his Ford Escape when she fled. The same Ford Escape that he was in when he got arrested for plowing through those people in Waukesha. He catches up with this woman at a gas station about a half a mile from the motel, demanded she get into the car. She refuses. He strikes her in the face and then ran over her with his car, leaving the woman, quote, swelling to her lip and dry blood on her face and tire tracks on her left pant leg, close quote, according to a police report. Ex-girlfriend told the cops that Brooks had allegedly threatened to kill her on several occasions and had previously tried to choke her and was jealous and controlling. Brooks denied the allegations, told the police the woman made the allegations up because she was drunk. This time, he ends up being charged with recklessly endangering safety, bail jumping, battery, and disorderly conduct in the incident, but was given a bail of $1,000. That left him out in the streets, free to do what he is alleged to have done in that Christmas parade in Waukesha. This man should never have been on the streets. And by the way, the DA in that county is one of these reformer DAs who believes in decriminalization, and even said some years before this, because of my reforms, will people be out on the streets who will kill somebody else? He said yes, but it doesn't mean my reforms are wrong. I'm paraphrasing. Tell that to the people who were killed and injured during this Christmas parade when Mr. Brooks got behind that vehicle and intentionally ran over several of them. This is an absolute outrage. Talk about miscarriage of justice.